Namaskar and welcome to Samvad. The opaqueness in China's political and governance system makes it extremely difficult to analyze China, as most of the information coming out of China is based on speculation, in which especially the Western media thrives on. But it is equally important to read the tea leaves so as to understand as to how the political tea is brewing in China. To discuss this issue, we have a very distinguished guest, Ambassador Ashok Kantha. Ambassador Ashok Kantha is the former Ambassador of India to China, Malaysia, and Sri Lanka. And Ambassador Kantha is now associated with leading think tanks in India. He is associated with the Vivekanand International Foundation, Institute of Chinese Studies, and Council for Strategic and Defense Research. Welcome to Samvad, sir.
Thank you, Mayank. Thanks for inviting me.
Sir, Mao Zedong, in his famous speech on the 7th of August in 1927, he referred to the political power grows from the barrel of the gun. Now, the gun being the PLA and the internal security system in China, Communist China. For the past 20 months, President Xi Jinping's protégés, or at least the people appointed by Xi, have been disappearing from leadership positions across these systems. Defense Minister General Li Shangfu was removed in 2023. Senior officers of the PLA Rocket Force and other allied agencies have been removed. Admiral Miao Hua, who had been consistently been promoted by Xi Jinping, has been removed, and so have been two of his protégés, Admirals Hanjun and Li Pengcheng. Now, even the serving chairman of CMC, that is the Chinese Military Commission, General He Weidong, has gone missing or is reportedly gone missing. Now, the dismissal of Admiral Hua has reduced the strength of the CMC to 5, which could further reduce if General Weidong is actually missing. Now, this is unprecedented for the CMC. Sir, my question after this backgrounder is, now, does this purge indicate Xi's personalized power increasing over PLA, or as some people say, some speculations also go that Xi's stranglehold on power is being reduced by his opponents through purges of his loyalists?
Mayank, I think we need to step back a little bit and recall the fact that for more than a decade now, Xi Jinping has been waging an anti-corruption campaign, which has been quite unprecedented in history of Communist Party of China. And one favorite target of this campaign has been the hierarchy of People's Liberation Army. Top leadership as well as other officers at other levels. You referred to number of senior functionaries who have recently been sacked, but actually it's a much longer list. Last two defense ministers were sacked. The present defense minister also, General Tung Chun, he has not been promoted to CMC, Central Military Commission. So he has been held at a lower level, even though he's defense minister. You referred to Miao Hua. He was very close to Xi Jinping earlier. And you're absolutely right that in PLA Rocket Force, in fact, the entire top leadership was decimated a couple of years ago. Now, what can we read from these developments? Number one, there is absolutely no doubt about the fact that major changes have taken place in the top leadership of the PLA. Why it has happened, frankly, we are not entirely clear. In your initial remarks, you referred to the fact that the Communist Party of China and the party state in China tends to be very opaque. So as a result, opacity, in fact, it remains sort of black box for us in some areas. And that's especially true of changes which have taken place. But to my mind, these changes should not lead us to conclusion that Xi Jinping has been weakened. Because as I mentioned, this has been going on for quite some time, almost for a decade. Uh, he has been, making appointments sometime when he's not happy with performance of the incumbent, either because of, corruption allegations or of any other reason. He is not shy to sort of get rid of them. This, in fact, shows his control on the apparatus of the party state and more specifically People's Liberation Army in this case. Whether it affects functioning of PLA, frankly, we don't know. But PLA is in fact going from strength to strength. If you look at modernization of PLA and reforms of PLA, restructuring of PLA as per guidance or guidelines given by Xi Jinping, who is chairman of Central Military Commission, I think that process is unfolded in a very sort of systematic manner. So my conclusion will be that Xi Jinping remains in charge of PLA and he can bring about these changes and he does so.
So CMC and PLA are not the only reasons why speculations are rising about Xi Jinping and his hold on power. Because we recently had the institutionalization of a new central committee decision-making body, decision-making and coordination body, which was decided upon by the Chinese Politburo, which in turn is headed by Xi Jinping himself. Now, this Politburo, this new body, this central committee, has 205 people, and she is one of the members. Now, one of the what should I say, the things coming out of the information which has come out is that it is about they have warned the members from taking over functions or overstepping boundaries. Now, when we look at the regulations in different ways, now there is one aspect which says that she is using these regulations to reform the system by having the people he requires in the places he wants them to be. Now, the readout of the meeting which has come out features key phrases associated with his rule, like for instance, centralized and unified leadership and top level design. That means that he remains in charge, political charge. And the second part, which is very interesting, sir, people say, the analysts which we read about, they say that the party is moving away from Xi, both organizationally and ideologically, and using the word coordination to describe the work of the new organization. This can only mean that things will not be decided by only one person, that is Xi himself. So that restricts Xi's freedom. Now, help us get an understanding how you see this new development of this central committee which has come up.
I think there is some misunderstanding in some quarters about a decision which was taken by the Politburo of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China at its meeting, which was held on 30th June, just a few days ago. At this meeting, the Politburo, adopted what is called regulations on central decision making, deliberative, and coordinating institutions. Basically, it provides the framework under which some of these key institutions, which have been around, and many of them were in fact set up by Xi Jinping himself. They work under chairmanship of Xi Jinping, will operate. No new body was set up. I think that conclusion is based on an erroneous reading of the regulations which were adopted by the Politburo on 30th June. In fact, even these regulations were under discussion for quite some time. People who follow these matters, they are aware that there have been repeated references to, the work on formulation of these regulations. And finally, they were adopted by the Politburo on 30th June. Now, let me clarify a few things there. As I mentioned earlier, one, no new body has been set up. So, this argument that somehow a new body has been set up, which is a supervisory body sitting on top of the party hierarchy and overseeing work of Xi Jinping himself, is completely wrong. No such thing has happened. Number two, these regulations, as I mentioned earlier, were in the works earlier, and now they have been formalized.
Mm.
Now, what it means, we'll have to try and understand. It's possible that Xi Jinping is trying to institutionalize, certain arrangements more systematically, and it's also possible that he'll be delegating or he's delegating some authority to trusted lieutenants. That he need not be chairman of everything, as he is sometimes referred to.
Mm.
But that does not necessarily mean that uh, he is ceding authority. Delegation, if it takes place, doesn't mean weakening of Xi Jinping's authority. So, to my mind, the reading of the regulation that you referred to, I'm aware of the fact that that assessment has gained some traction in some quarters, but I'm not in agreement with that assessment. And most of serious China watchers are not really inclined to accept it because, there's no such suggestion contained in the regulations that we are discussing.
So I'll come back to the same point, sir, because there's so much so much information, call it misinformation or misreading, misunderstanding. There's so much down there. There is a phrase which is going on that at the Politburo meeting, she was not given the customary designation of the core, as he was referred to in earlier documents. And then the analysis adds that with the military purges, him not being given the core, and they call it, we stand corrected that it's not a new body, him not being given the core designation and purges in the allies. I mean, do you still not see some echoes happening or something happening in the depths of CCP politics?
Well, let's see why this speculation is taking place and whether this speculation is altogether new. Uh, in fact, from time to time, there are rumors that Xi Jinping has become weaker and that he's on his way out. So far, those rumors have proved to be wrong. Now, in this case, what was the trigger for the rumors? I think there were two main triggers. One was the fact that in the month of May, he was absent for 13 days.
Mm.
He was not seen in public for
Mm.
13 days. And two, uh, there was no reported meeting of Politburo in the month of May. Every month there is a meeting which is reported in Chinese media. That was not reported. Presumably, there was no
Mm.
meeting. And if I may add, one more trigger which led to speculation that subsequently, when it came to BRICS summit, it was not Xi Jinping who was representing China, but Premier Li Qiang.
Mm.
Uh, and all this was put together, and reports started surfacing, especially in Chinese diaspora media, particularly certain media outlets linked to Falun Gong, which indulge in this kind of speculation from time to time. Now, if you look at the facts, his absence, not being seen for 13 days. If you recall, before Xi Jinping became party general secretary and subsequently, chairman of CMC and president of PRC, He was missing for 14 days, from 1st to 14 September 2012. And to date, there has been no explanation by the party state that why he was missing during that critical period just before his elevation. This time, there could be some good reason. He may have, a bad back. He may have undergone a medical procedure. We don't know. Frankly, they don't make these things public in China. I think let's first accept it. Number one. Number two, when it comes to meeting not taking place, Politburo meeting not taking place, it has happened on so many other occasions. Last year also, one particular meeting was not reported or it didn't take place. Number three, if you look at the participation at G20 summit that we hosted in New Delhi, who was representing China? It was not Xi Jinping. It was Li Qiang. It was again Premier Li Qiang. So just the fact that he is not traveling all the way from Beijing to Brazil, a long distance, doesn't mean that he's being sort of sidelined. As of now, we don't see any serious indication that Xi Jinping is in political trouble. Even this morning, I checked out, he appears very prominently in People's Daily, and leaders on their way out, they don't appear so prominently. All the core of the leaderships of the Communist Party of China, its Central Committee, that is being used. Recently, one of the new books propounding Xi Jinping thought was released. One more book was released. He was receiving Dr. Jaishankar, our Minister of External Affairs, other SU foreign ministers in Beijing yesterday. And he has been, appearing in meetings in a very normal way. None of it indicates that his authority has been weakened. I will add a caveat that when it comes to elite politics in China, we are not very well informed. But it's not that we don't have some idea either. You have to bear in mind the fact, very simple fact, that the Communist Party of China has more than 100 million members. And they need to communicate all the time with the membership. And this communication takes place through channels like People's Daily. And if you look at those channels, you get some idea of what's happening. Xi Jinping thoughts remains the guiding ideology of CPC, of the party state in China. No indication that that's being weakened. So I will argue that at this point of time, we may be wrong because it's a black box we are talking about. But as of now, based on available evidence, there's no reason for us to jump to any conclusion that Xi Jinping has been weakened or that on his way out. All that is, to my mind, rather baseless speculation.
Sir, I'll come back to the fact as to where these speculations get credence from. There are two very senior American diplomats who've been writing or tweeting about it very regularly. One is Gregory Slayton. So he's a former US ambassador. So he wrote an op-ed in New York Post that there is high likelihood that Xi Jinping will step down at the fourth plenum, held, which is supposed to be held in August. Now, these people don't give any reasons as to why they write this, but he's written that. And he asserted that veteran figures like Hu Jintao and Wen Jiabo are already exercising real, actual power. And then he quotes that the name of the hall kept in the name of Xi Jinping's fathers has been removed, which is no ordinary thing. And this goes on. This is a very long list. And then Mike Flynn, the former NSA of Donald Trump, in Donald Trump 1.0, sir, his presidency, he has also written there is a clear power shift occurring in China right now. And the core members of the Chinese Communist Party, especially officials from the Ministry of State Security, and ordinary citizens are losing faith in the top leadership. So this gives credence, sir, when these people, senior people, write. So obviously, sir, I can sense that there are no power struggles as such as these people are basically alluding to. But then we come back to another important point, sir. Why this propaganda coming out of the Western media and Western very senior officials? What makes them indulge in this propaganda?
Uh, you know, first, I'm not suggesting that there's no power struggle. Any uh, you know, government, any party, there's always a degree of power
But
struggle.
not the sort being
So no,
suggested
no,
right now, sir.
yeah, yeah. But that person you are referring to and the article you are referring to, I have read that article. It appeared in New York Post. Now, New York Post is not known to have any insight about what's happening in deep recesses of Communist Party of China.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Mr. Slayton is not a former US ambassador. Uh,
Yeah.
I understand he was Consul General in Bermuda. Now, Consul General Bermuda is not an expert on China, I can assure you.
Ah.
So let's say, in fact, this article has been ridiculed quite a bit in China community, people who sort of China watching community,
Mm-hmm.
people who follow China, because kind of things he's mentioning. He's mentioning that Hu Jintao and Wen Xiaopao are running, actually exercising real power.
Mm-hmm.
One who's familiar with the fact that Hu Jintao is suffering from a serious health issue. You will be aware of, kind of very big embarrassment he faced when he was ushered out of the meeting of you know one of the high level meetings which appear to be uh, caught on camera. Uh, Nothing to indicate that either Hu Jintao or Wen Xiaopao have made a revival, and they are at least I'm not aware,
Mm-hmm.
or people
Mm-hmm.
follow China closely, they are not aware that
Mm-hmm.
they have made a revival.
Mm-hmm.
So these are not reports which are particularly credible report. Now, why it happens? Well, it happens from time to time. Partly, it's a sort of wishful thinking in certain quarters, in Falun Gong, for instance, or also in west parts of Western establishment, that Xi Jinping will be forced out, and he'll be replaced by people who will be more in sync with their expectations. Uh, but wishful thinking is not reality.
Mm-hmm.
And at present, I'm again say that we may be wrong because we don't know, inner workings of Communist Party of China. But what is available to us by way of evidence doesn't confirm any of this speculation, especially by people who are not known to have any particular expertise on China.
So maybe one of the reasons of this wishful thinking is that the the Westerners, they believe that a change might lead to a different China. I mean, that is what they assume because they are always seem to be willing to impose their ideas on other people. So in a hypothetical situation, I'll take you to a hypothetical situation that she leaves center stage due to any reason. Maybe he wishes to step away. It's nothing to do with power struggle. Sir, as the Western media and the Western experts hope for, can we expect that the new leader will steer China away from the ideological and revisionist ideas or their ideological grooming, or that will lead to more of the same?
Well, at some point of time, Xi Jinping, being a mortal, uh, will move on.
Hmm.
And there will be a new leader in China, no doubt about it. When it will happen, we don't know. Whether it will happen in 2027 when we have the next party congress or its subsequent date, frankly, we have no idea at this point of time. But one thing we can say with a degree of confidence that China is pursuing certain policies, both domestically and in its external behavior, which are deeply anchored in Chinese psyche, sometimes, in fact, predating uh, establishment of the People's Republic of China. China dream that they talk about. It's not something which happened recently. They have been talking about China's reemergence as a strong and prosperous nation, and they're getting over what is sometimes called the century of national humiliation, and after that, restoring their rightful role as the leading nation or leading civilization in the world. That's the narrative. That narrative has been there for a long time. Xi Jinping has been a very consequential leader, no doubt about it. He has done a lot to promote, the centenary goals of China. But it's not that he created those dreams. Those dreams predated Xi Jinping's. Those dreams will survive Xi Jinping. We have to bear that in mind, the fact. So while it's very difficult to foresee what will happen in future, but to my mind, even if Xi Jinping were to step down in not too distant a future, it need not necessarily lead to China, dramatically changing its policies, either domestically or in terms of its foreign policy ambitions and behavior.
Sir, what does that mean for India? Final question, sir.
What it means for India, that we have to be mindful of the fact that our largest neighbor, China, which is a geographical reality for us, we have to deal with it, is a powerful country with a sense of destiny, a country which has developed very rapidly over the last 4 decades in particular, and on the back of its economic strength and its own, self-narrative about its place in the world, it is seeking to carve out a very large role for itself, not only in our neighborhood, but globally, in fact. So we have to deal with that China. China poses a challenge to us. It's not going to go away. So we have to invest in our own capabilities. We have to develop a sophisticated strategy for engaging with China, both as a challenge and many areas and as an opportunity as well. This is going to be, to my mind, the primary strategic challenge of India in the foreseeable future.
Sir, one of the biggest challenges I see is that there is a lack of information about China in India, lack of authentic information. And I hope this session will go a long way in filling that gap. And thank you, sir. I would like to conclude on that note itself. Thank you so much for sparing your time for us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayank. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.